What happens when you're supposed to be a world-class athlete, but behind closed doors? You snap bowls, order DoorDash, and ask the plug how far out he is. Better yet, what happens when that gets exposed to the whole world? Today, we'll be talking about several professional athletes who were just that. Top-notch professional athletes who just loved to get high. In professional athletics across the world, it goes without saying, smoking is heavily looked down upon. THC or no THC. But somehow, some way, these athletes managed to climb their way up the competitive ladder all while inhaling the forbidden plant. Whether getting high helped these athletes with their fitness goals or held them back is for you to decide. But one thing's for sure, some of the biggest names in sports have risked their whole career over a couple of rips. So let's go case by case and hop into the minds of these athletes. How did they get caught? What did they tell the media? And how did it affect their career going forward? Before he was a meme and before the scandal, Michael Phelps was untouchable. 23 Olympic gold medals in the pool, the face of American swimming, the guy who literally made water his home, nearly watched his whole career drown over one photo. It's February 1st, 2009. A British news company drops the photo. It's Phelps at a college party, glass bong in hand, taking a rip. The man was baked. Alright? Instantly, the news spreads everywhere. Headlines, morning shows, people calling him the stoner swimmer. And just like that, Phelps' golden boy image was gone overnight. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just months earlier, he had won 8 gold medals in Beijing, a record that made him one of the most decorated Olympians of all time. But as we all know, with fame comes people, cameras, and in Phelps' case, parties. That photo was taken at the University of South Carolina. Phelps was attending a casual college party that seemed normal. Phones out, young adults having fun, and absolutely nobody thinking a silly little photo would be plastered across the news the next morning.
He's the undisputed king of the pool, but today Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps is just trying to keep his head above water.
A photo of the swimming star purportedly using a marijuana pipe.
Record-breaking swimmer was caught on camera smoking from a bong.
The world's most decorated athlete suddenly became the world's most famous stoner. USA Swimming suspended him for 3 months. Kellogg's, yes, the cereal company, dropped his sponsorship, saying his behavior wasn't consistent with their image. Think about that. A bowl of Frosted Flakes canceled an Olympian athlete over one photo. Other sponsors like Speedo, Omega, and Subway stuck by him, but the damage was done. People weren't talking about Phelps' swimming times anymore. They were talking about his high. Phelps didn't deny it. He actually faced it head on. He told the press, "I engaged in behavior which was regrettable and demonstrated bad judgment. It will not happen again. No excuses, no blaming anybody else. Just a dude owning his mistake." And the truth is, that accountability probably saved his career. Fans forgave him. Sponsors came back. And by 2012, Phelps was back in the pool collecting more gold medals. After this incident was all said and done, he collected 15 more Olympic gold medals. More gold medals than he had before the incident even happened. Years later, Phelps actually opened up about his mental health struggles and how fame almost broke him. The man who once got canceled for a bong rip ended up becoming a voice for anxiety, depression, and the pressure that athletes face. And if you ask me, that's a pretty good representation of the cannabis community as a whole. It's NFL Draft Night 2016, and millions of fans are watching live as the best college players around the country are about to sign to an NFL team and become millionaires. Laremy Tunsil, an Ole Miss superstar, projected top 5 pick, and future franchise left tackle, is sitting in his suite patiently waiting for the call to become an NFL star, when seemingly out of nowhere, his entire life gets hacked. It's 7:47 p.m. Just minutes before the draft starts, a video drops on his own verified Twitter account. It's Laremy in a gas mask taking a rip from a bong. Smoke fills the mask, and the internet loses their mind.
Twitter and Instagram accounts were hacked, he claims. Just minutes before the draft began, this video of the all-star athlete smoking out of a bong was posted to his Twitter page.
The timing was surgical. Nobody knew who leaked it, but it hit right as the commissioner was about to walk on stage. Teams literally started panicking. Executives were whispering, phones ringing. Scouts were even taking Laremy off their draft boards in real time. Because in the NFL, image is everything. You can be one of the best tackles in the nation, but if there's a video of you smoking weed in a gas mask, that's all anyone will ever remember you for. 5 minutes earlier, he was a top 5 lock, but now 5 minutes later, he starts free-falling down the board, pick after pick, when finally, the Miami Dolphins stopped the slide at number 13, a difference that costed Laremy millions in guaranteed money. Unfortunately for Laremy, all it took was one viral clip, and just like that, he lost 7 figures before he even shook Roger Goodell's hand. Reporters swarmed him immediately. His team said his account was hacked, which was true, but Laremy kept it real. He said, "I made a mistake. That happened. I'm blessed to be picked up by the Dolphins." No drama, no excuses. He just owned it. Meanwhile, the hacker was rumored to be someone close to him. They believed this because they kept posting screenshots of private messages during the draft. The whole night was utter chaos, to say the least, especially for Laremy. But here's where it all flips. Laremy didn't let that moment define him. He put his head down, dominated in Miami, and became one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Years later, he looked back and said that that video was a blessing in disguise because it exposed everyone fake around him before he signed his first big contract. Laremy ended up signing a 3-year, $75 million deal, making him the highest paid tackle in NFL history at the time. From gas mask scandal to NFL legend. In 2021, Sha'Carri Richardson was as real as it gets when it came to women's running. 21 years old, fastest woman in America, charisma, confidence, and orange hair that said, "I'm built different." She won the 100-meter dash at the US Olympic trials and became an instant star. But just 1 week after that amazing accomplishment, everything she had worked for vanished over a joint.
Sha'Carri Richardson's Olympic dreams are now on hold after failing a drug test.
The standout runner tested positive for cannabis.
Sha'Carri Richardson could miss the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for marijuana.
Sha'Carri wasn't just fast, she was electric. People loved her energy, her authenticity, and the way she brought personality to a sport that usually plays it safe. After winning the Olympic trials in 10.86 seconds, she told the world, "I'm that bitch." She had acquired Nike deals, gotten global hype, and with the Olympics right around the corner, this was her moment to shine on the biggest of stages.
Here comes Diaz! Here comes Diaz! Diaz making the play around Sweden!
And then the news broke. Sha'Carri Richardson had tested positive for THC, the active compound in marijuana. USADA quickly confirmed the result, and just like that, her Olympic dreams were gone. The penalty? A 30-day suspension, which doesn't seem so harsh off the bat, but in reality was detrimental. A 30-day suspension was just long enough to keep Sha'Carri Richardson out of the Tokyo Olympics. She later revealed why she had smoked after finding out from a reporter that her biological mother had actually passed away. And for Sha'Carri, hearing news like that in the middle of her biggest career moment put her over the edge, eventually leading her to seek out an all too familiar coping mechanism.
A heartbroken Sha'Carri Richardson is earning praise today for owning up to a big error in judgment.
The violation means her race results are now invalid.
This is not easy. This is a hard moment that you're in right now, and I thank you for being on.
Overnight, it seemed like the internet had split in half. Some people were furious, while others said rules are rules. USADA called marijuana a substance of abuse, but in 2021, with states legalizing left and right, the rule looked outdated. Even President Biden said the rules are the rules, but maybe they should change. Imagine that. Even the president is low-key like, the rules are mid. Surprisingly, sponsors and fans flooded her with support. Even Nike stood by her. And if you know anything about Nike, that never happens. When she spoke publicly, she didn't dodge it. She said, I want to take responsibility for my actions. I know what I did, I know what I'm supposed to do, and I still made that decision. And then the line that hit everybody. Who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with pain or struggle you've never experienced before? You could tell she wasn't just sorry, she was human.
I greatly apologize if I let you guys down, and I did. And I just want to let y'all know this will be the last time the Olympics don't cheat Sha'Carri Richardson, and this will be the last time the U.S. doesn't come home with a gold medal in 100.
The world tried to cancel her, but she came back stronger. 2 years later, she became the fastest woman in the world again, winning gold at the 2023 World Championships in Budapest. From straight up heartbreak to history. That joint might have cost her the Olympics, but it didn't kill her career. It lit a fire. Sha'Carri Richardson's story isn't about weed. It's about pressure, pain, and how quick the world turns on you. But she didn't let a test define her. And the crazy thing is, she's not the only one, because the next athlete on this list, he got so high mid-flight, his entire NBA team had to land. Picture this for me. You're on a private NBA team jet, everyone's chilling, music's playing, teammates are cracking jokes, when all of a sudden one player starts freaking out. His heart is racing, he's sweating, and he's convinced that he's dying. That was Dion Waiters, and the reason? THC gummies.
In the hands of Waiters. 3 seconds left for 3. Yes! Dion has done it!
It was November 8th, 2019, when the Miami Heat were flying from Phoenix to Los Angeles. Waiters, a veteran guard known for confidence and attitude, popped an edible before takeoff. But here's the twist. He didn't know how strong it was. He later told teammates it came from a friend. Mid-flight, it hit him hard. Sources said he suffered a panic attack at 30,000 feet in the air. The plane had to be met by medical staff when they landed in LA, and the story exploded.
Miami Heat are suspicious of their players giving Dion Waiters some edibles.
All stems from an incident on the team's flight from Phoenix to Los Angeles on Thursday evening.
Waiters ate a cannabis-infused edible on the team charter plane.
The team tried calling it a medical episode, but the truth got out fast. He had eaten an infused gummy, panicked, and embarrassed the organization on a national level. The Miami Heat ended up hitting him with a 10-game suspension for conduct detrimental to the team, and this actually wasn't his first issue. Dion had already been benched for complaining about minutes earlier that season, so this was like strike 3. When it was all said and done, he lost around $1.2 million in salary because of it. Dion later posted an apology to the team, the fans, and the city of Miami. He wrote that he took full responsibility for his actions and that he was working to regain trust, but he also made it clear he wasn't about to snitch. Dion never once said where the gummies came from. He never threw anybody under the bus. In his words, I made a mistake, plain and simple. The Heat eventually traded him to Memphis, and a few months later, he signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. That same year, Dion Waiters became an NBA champion. That's right, the Lakers won it all. From a THC gummy panic attack on a plane to holding a finals ring less than a year later. Some athletes straight up hide it. Nate Diaz, he lights up in front of the cameras.
You're taking everything I work for. I'm gonna fight your
ass.
He's a man who doesn't care about what anybody thinks. A Stockton Street legend turned UFC icon. And when it comes to weed, Nate didn't just get caught with it. He built a whole identity around it. It's August 2016. Nate Diaz just went 5 rounds with Conor McGregor at UFC 202, one of the biggest fights in MMA history. He walks into the post-fight press conference with his face still beat up and bleeding a little, and in front of everybody, reporters there as well, Nate decides to pull out a dab pen. Someone asks him, "Nate, what are you smoking?" He then looks right at the camera and goes, "It's CBD. It helps with healing and inflammation." And right then and there, without knowing it, Nate had just admitted to vaping cannabinoids on live TV, the same night he fought in a sport where cannabinoids were still banned.
Nate Diaz took the podium smoking a vape. Now, a vape is not illegal. I mean, you can do a vape, but technically speaking, one of the banned substances in competition is cannabis.
The very next day, the headlines were blowing up. The UFC and USDA had to issue statements because he vaped within the in-competition window. But here's what made it wild. What Nate Diaz was hitting on stage during the post-conference interview wasn't even THC. It was actually CBD, the non-psychoactive part of cannabis. Still, the rules didn't care. USADA said they were looking into it, but fans rallied behind Diaz instantly. Within 1 year of the Nate Diaz incident, the UFC actually changed their policy. They removed CBD from the banned list, which just goes to show how much this incident affected the UFC as a whole. Nate Diaz went from being the fighter who smokes weed to being one of the most respected veterans of all time. He showed that cannabis doesn't make you lazy. It can be a part of recovery, focus, and even your brand. And through all the suspensions, memes, and chaos, one thing about Diaz never changed. He always stayed real. Imagine being born into boxing royalty. Your dad isn't just a champion. He's Julio Cesar Chavez, one of the greatest fighters to ever live. The name alone carries massive weight. That was Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And in 2012, it was his job to prove that his dad's dynasty still lived on. But instead, he made headlines for something completely different. Not for a knockout, not for a loss, but for cannabis.
Unfortunately for him, he's taking a lot of punishment right now too.
Julio is the chant here in León, Mexico.
It's September 15th, 2012 in Las Vegas. Chavez Jr. steps into the ring with Sergio Martinez to fight for the middleweight title. It's one of the biggest fights of the year. During the fight, Chavez gets outboxed for 11 rounds straight, but in the 12th round, he almost turned it around, nearly knocking Martinez out. Unfortunately for Martinez, the 12th round comeback fell short, but fans still respected the heart that he showed. He ends up losing the belt, but leaves with his head held high. Literally high.
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was fined $900,000 and suspended 9 months. Nines are wild with Chavez Jr. It was for a positive drug test for marijuana.
Just days later, the Nevada State Athletic Commission reveals that Chavez Jr. had tested positive for marijuana metabolites after the fight, and that's where things exploded. The commission didn't go easy, to say the least. They hit Chavez with a 9-month suspension and fined him $900,000. That's 30% of his $3 million fight purse. At the time, it was one of the biggest fines in boxing history for a drug offense. Fans were divided, with some saying weed isn't a performance-enhancing drug, while others claimed that he was an embarrassment to the sport and his father's name. Chavez Jr. held a press conference not long after where he said, "I want to apologize to all of my fans, to the commission, to Martinez, and to HBO. I made a mistake. No excuses, just a straight-up apology." But behind the scenes, things things weren't so calm. His dad, the legendary Julio Sr., was furious. He told reporters his son was, quote, wasting his talent and that he needed to get serious about discipline. This moment became a turning point for Chavez, not just for his career, but for his relationship with his dad. The suspension stalled his career. When he returned to the ring, he never quite looked the same. The discipline was gone. The spark faded. Promoters had stopped trusting him. He missed weigh-ins, skipped training camps, and the weed story quickly became his legacy. Instead of being remembered as the son who carried his father's torch, he became the cautionary tale, all from a failed marijuana test. Years later, Chavez Jr. admitted that he wasn't focused and that fame hit him too young. He told one interviewer that the weed, the nightlife, and the pressure all mixed together until he lost control. And while his dad built a legacy of glory, Chavez Jr.'s story became a reminder that talent alone doesn't cut it, especially when your last name already comes with so many expectations.